cross off the word superficial layer, strike that, cross it. Cross out the next 4 muscles underneath it. Cross them off. Leave the word intermediate layer, leave the word erector spinae. Then cross out every muscle underneath it. Deep layer, strike it. Transverso spinalis group, strike it. Semispinalis, multifidus, and rotatories, strike them. Strike the word segmental muscles. Interspinalis and intertransversarii, you can strike those. And the quadratus lumborum. Isn't that fun?
Yeah. Can we do that for the rest?
No, that's it. I have some other ones too. So watch this. Normally, in the fall semester with the holidays and everything like that, there's this date with the days off that we started late this semester. Normally this whole group I would teach you on the board and I would show you the layering. We don't see those muscles anyway on these models. Our models aren't that detailed, so it's more stuff you would have to learn in theory. I do want to talk about one muscle that I left there called the Erector Spinae group. You guys going into PT, we could probably spend a day learning this group. It's a group, Joe, stand up for me a second. It's a group, facing that way. It's a group that goes from your low back here, then it goes up your spine like this. Just move your hair over a little bit. Up the spine, up to the head. But it has like 3 major columns that go this way. It's a massive muscle. So you guys going into PT, you're gonna see it's 3 columns, and then each column is divided into 3 groups. So it's a total of 9 muscles. Our models just don't have that kind of detail. I mean, if you wanna look at it in the in your lab book, you can definitely see it. So what I did was this. I'm gonna just call it the Erector Spinae group. This, guys, listen, just give me a second. This group right now on these beautiful, comfortable chairs that you're sitting on with no backing, right? Guess what muscle group is keeping you erect, upright? We call it the Erector Spinae group. It contracts our, it keeps our trunk so that we stay upright, we stay erect. Even if you're bent over and you kind of hunched over, say you're doing something, right now my erector spinae muscle is contracting to keep me from falling flat on my face. So it's a massive muscle. It goes from down here, it goes up, and it just branches out in all different ways, all the way up to the head. Thank you. So I'm going to make it real easy. The erector spinae group, this column coming up right here, see how it's going straight up and down? I'll hold it over here for a second first. Right here, this column straight going up and down. This is only a glimpse of it. It is much more massive under all these other muscles. We can see one part of it right here. This would be the erector spinae group. We're only seeing a part of it, and its job is to keep you upright, erect, right, which is upright. So that's where they come up with that term. When they looked at the fibers of the muscles, they saw that it runs up and down. You guys going into PT, like I said, we could spend a day, that's exaggerating a little bit, we could spend a lot of hours studying that group. It's really hard. It's a hard group to learn and master, okay? So that's the erector spinae group. On this model, where do you think? On this side here, see this right here? Going straight up and down. This is the same type of thing. It's just a smaller version. This is the erector spinae group here. Okay, see how it goes straight up and down? So we're seeing a little bit of it on this model also. Okay. Okay. Questions or comments? Let's go to the second column. I want to do jump down to the. Let's do the muscles of respiration and the muscles of the abdomen, and then I'll let you guys work on this a little bit, look at it, and then we'll work on the first column. For those of you that came in late, just so you know, we'll finish this. This is your practical number 3 right here. This is what you got to know. We'll have our test on December, what did we say, 7th?
7th.
Yeah. December 7th. So next week I'll finish this up, and we'll probably start the nervous system a little bit. Dr. Finley's not that far yet, right? You guys haven't done the nervous system yet?
Nope.
Okay, so I'll start it, and you'll have a nice background, so when she gets to it, you guys will be in a really good position. You'll be like, wow, you know, I know this all already because I have a really good, I think, labs for the nervous system. I think you guys are going to be in a good position. So let's go to the muscles of respiration first. So second column, muscles of respiration. Before I do that, this is important. We're going to see there's a couple muscles that are called external muscles and some that are called internal. Watch this. The external muscles, they run like you're putting your hand in your pocket like this. The fibers run as if you were putting your hand in your pocket. And they're going to be the superficial muscle, which is closer to the surface. Everybody agree? Right? So an external muscle runs this way, like we're putting our hands in our pocket, and they're going to be superficial. The internal muscle is going to be deep to the external muscle, but watch this, guys. The fibers run perpendicular. They're going to crisscross like that. Okay? So external muscles run this way. Internal muscles run this way. Okay? So you guys are familiar with like your oblique muscles in your abdomen when you do like a crunch and you kind of turn. The external obliques we're going to see run, the fibers are going to be running this way and it's superficial, so it's going to be easy to find. The internal oblique, we would have to cut the external away, reflect it, then we'll see the internal underneath it. All right? And the same thing with muscles that we call intercostals. Any questions on that? If you keep that in the back of your mind, the rest of this is going to be easy as far as what we're doing right now. Externals are this way and they're superficial. We're good? Okay. It always worked for me, even when we did dissection. Again, when I was in your position, it just really helped me to figure things out. So what do I have first? Muscles of, okay, so muscles of respiration. So look at the first one, external intercostals. Let's break it down. So which direction are the fibers running? As if we're putting our hand in our pocket this way. It's going to be, and intercostal means what? Between the ribs, right? Intercostals would be between, costal means the ribs. So between each of our ribs, just slide this over for me a little bit. Thank you. Between each of our ribs, ooh, sorry about that. Forgot you had that set up. Between each of the ribs, guys, we have muscles called intercostals. The best model to see them on is this one. This, you're going to find out, is one of my favorite models. I use this the rest of the semester a lot. This model's okay. The big torso's okay. This one is actually okay too, the one that's laying down. But take a look over here, guys. Here we have, they're showing the first, second, and third ribs. So if you notice, between the ribs, we have muscle, okay? If you look at this closely, and I want you to take pictures of this after, the fibers that are running, as if we were putting our hand in our pocket and superficial here, these are the external intercostals. I just want to come around and show you guys. All right, external intercostals. You guys see them? Okay. When we breathe in, see that? Where my finger is? Right, they're superficial and they're going in that direction. When we breathe in, take a deep breath in for a second. What happens to your chest cavity, your chest cage? It goes up. When you did that, this was the muscle that brought the ribs up. So when you go, I mean, like a really deep breath and you're bringing your ribs up like that, that is the external intercostals that do that. Okay, so say you're working out, you're exercising, you're on the treadmill, right, and you're getting some extra air in, and you're expanding your chest, you are contracting your external intercostals. So what would be the muscle deep and the fibers running the other way? These are your internal intercostals. Guess what they do? They do the opposite. They bring the ribs down. So what would you do then? You'll be breathing out. Exhalation, right? Is the correct word actually. Good. So here's your internal intercostals over here. So make sure everybody sees that. Okay? They're going to be more for breathing out. Okay? So external and internal. Internal right there. Okay? Do you guys see it over here? So they do the best job with that. This model too. I'm starting to use this little torso. Same thing. If you come up close, because just so you know, on the exam, I try to use the same models I show you. but if Professor Costa's giving the test the same day, I may not have all the same models, so I just want you to be aware, this is what it looks like in a small model. It's all there, it's just a miniature version. You know, I always say to my students, you know, the anatomy is the same, it's just the patient is different. It's a different patient. Right? When you get into medicine, right, everybody has the same parts, but everybody has different shapes and different sizes. Same type of thing. So you're going to see your external intercostals here, your internal intercostals here. Okay? When you go and you have spare ribs, guess what you're eating?
Oh.
You can order your, you know, your spare ribs, internal and external intercostals. That's what we had. That's what we're having. Okay? Oh, I got a bunch of them for you. I actually cut a lot of it out as far as the different meats that we're actually eating. We have them too. Same parts. Okay. I know. I know. It's so true. Well, how about this? Skirt steak. I love skirt steak. You know what that is? It's diaphragm. Right. So when you're the muscle that makes you breathe in, right? Skirt steak is the diaphragm.
He's like, it tastes good.
I know. It's still good though. So watch this, guys. Right now, the muscle that we're using for quiet breathing, like we're doing now, nobody's really exercising, you're not really lifting your chest that much, is this muscle here. This muscle is called the diaphragm muscle. And we actually looked at it, remember the first couple of weeks of school? And we said that there was the cavities. This was the abdominal pelvic cavity. This was the thoracic cavity. What was the muscle? Was the diaphragm, right? So we kind of looked at it a little bit here. Today, I want to show it to you. This is what it looks like out of the body. If you notice, it's a dome this way, and it's a dome this way. When you breathe out, your diaphragm goes up like this. So that would be breathing out. When you take a breath in, the muscle contracts, and watch what it does. It goes from this, it flattens out. So that would be a breath in. Then breathe out would be like that, right? In, out. So our diaphragm changes its shape. This would be relaxed, breathing out. I can't do it on this one, but when it flattens out, that would be breathing in. So this is a nice, easy station. You see this sitting at a station on the exam number 3. What is it? Is that easy? Okay. Next semester, for those of you going on into AP2, we'll study the muscle again because it is part of the respiratory system, and that's where we study the respiratory system. So you see these holes right here? I just wanted to show you. You don't have to know them from me, but they're supposed to be there. Do you guys ever hear of a blood vessel called the inferior vena cava, maybe?
Yeah.
That actually goes through here. Our food tube, the esophagus, goes through this one, and here our aorta sits. So we actually study that. We'll actually study some of the blood vessels. I say we, whoever you get, me or whoever. These blood vessels here, we take a look at all these blood vessels. So you'll know this model already. But for this semester, what muscle is it?
Diaphragm.
And it is for breathing. Quiet breathing. If I ask you what's the action of this, it's, you know what? It's the primary muscle for quiet breathing, but it's contracting any type of breathing, really. It's a breathing muscle. But this is the main one you're using right now for quiet breathing. Okay? Okay, so 3 respiratory muscles. External intercostals, internal intercostals, and the diaphragm. That's it. There are some others. Again, those of you going into PT, there's some other ones. Again, our models don't get into that kind of detail, so I didn't include them. I just put the main ones down that I think you should know. Okay. Let's do this abdominal group, and then I'll let you guys sit for a little while, and then we'll go take a look at some of the head muscles. These are actually pretty easy. Let's do this. Put that back.
Trouble?
No, he's not.
Okay. So watch this, guys. There's 4 abdominal muscles. Let's do the most anterior one first. It's called the rectus abdominis. Watch this. This muscle goes all the way down to the pubic bone. So it starts way down here at the pubic bone, right? Our pubic bone's here. And it goes all the way up to our costal cartilages here, like where the ribs the rib cage goes like that. So notice how long this muscle is. This is the muscle on the left. This is the muscle on the right. On this side, it looks white because there's some connective tissue, fascia on it. Here, we've taken the fascia off. But watch what happens. Since the muscle is so long from the pubic bone to the ribs, what's developed to give the muscle more strength biomechanically are these little partitions right here, dividing the rectus abdominis into 4 compartments on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? These little partitions, I want you to know, and I have it there, are known as tendinous inscriptions. So here's a tendinous inscription, here's a tendinous inscription, here's another one. What it does is it divides the muscle into compartments, and that gives it more strength because each compartment is able to contract so that you can do like a crunch. Say you want to do a sit-up, right? You want to do a crunch. A muscle that has these 4 compartments is going to be stronger than a muscle fiber that's this long, like from your pubic bone to here. You know, it could be 2 feet for somebody that's tall, 1.5 feet for most of us or whatever. That's a long muscle fiber. It wouldn't have the strength. So what's developed there are these compartments. So you know when people say they got like a really good 6-pack because they do sit-ups, you tell them, you know what, I got a good 8-pack because it's not a 6-pack. How many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The reason they say 6-pack is when you have your pants on, all you see is 6, but it's actually 8 compartments. Okay? So you have an 8-pack. You just tell them, that's right. You got an 8-pack, you can keep their 6-pack. Okay? Watch this. When we take the left rectus abdominis muscle and combine it with the right rectus abdominis muscle, the connective tissue holding this muscle to that muscle forms a white line right down the middle. You can see it on some people. It sometimes indents a little bit. So this line is called the linea alba. What does linea mean? Linea means a line. Alba means what? White. Alba is the word for white, like an albino, right? Somebody that doesn't have the pigment. So this is the white line. That's what the literal translation is. So this, if I pointed to this, you're going to say linea alba. If I point to these partitions, what are you going to call those? Tendinous inscriptions. What's the entire muscle? Rectus abdominis. So if you are inspired by this muscle lecture today, this muscle lab, you're going to go home and you're going to get that 8-pack looking good. What's the exercise you're going to do? You're going to lay on the floor. You're going to do a crunch, right? So this muscle does, what would be bending forward? Instead of a crunch, what would be the actual anatomical, say it loud, flexion of the trunk, right? So this is going to flex the trunk, okay? And on a test, if you wrote down a crunch, I would be okay with that too. But we want to try to use as much technical terminology as we can, so we're going to say flexion of the trunk. Okay? We're good? Any questions on that muscle? So the next 2 muscles are called oblique. So that means the fibers are running at an angle. One is an external oblique, one is an internal oblique. So the external oblique is running in the direction, which way, the fibers? Exactly, as if we're putting our hand in our pocket. So take a look at this guy over here, right? This was me. These fibers here are running as if we're putting our hand in our pocket, and it's a superficial muscle. So this muscle would be the external oblique, or external abdominal oblique. But if you said external oblique, I would be okay with that. Now, on this side, watch this, guys. They've taken the external oblique off. The fibers that are going this way are gone. And then notice the muscle that's deep to it, and then the fibers are running the other way, right? They're running the other way. This would be what muscle? The internal abdominal oblique. Okay? Internal abdominal oblique. How about this guy over here? What's I can't even see it. What's this one over here going to be?
External.
This one is the
External abdominal oblique.
You guys are 100% correct, right? The fibers are running as if we're putting our hand in our pocket, so that automatically makes the other side. Am I on it?
Internal.
The internal oblique. Okay? Now, the obliques do this, guys. They also do a crunch. So if you said flexion of the trunk, you would be absolutely correct. However, what they really do is this. say you're gonna do your crunch, you come up, and then you're gonna bring your right elbow and you're gonna bring it to your left knee, right? You're gonna come around like this. So the external oblique does this. It turns your body away. If the right one is contracting, it turns you to the left. Right? If your left one is contracting, it's gonna turn you to the right. So it's gonna turn you the opposite way, okay? The internal oblique turns you to the same side. So let's say, and again, I won't get into this kind of detail on a test, but just to kind of put it together. Let's say you come up, you're gonna bring your right elbow to the left knee. So that means as I'm going this way, on this side, my external oblique is contracting. On this side, my internal oblique is contracting. They're actually pulling me around this way. When I go this way like this, the external oblique would be this side, the internal oblique would be on that side. So they both do rotation of the trunk, okay? But they all do, all three of them so far, do flexion of the trunk. They do the crunch. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know you don't understand what I'm talking about. That's okay. Last muscle for the moment. We got more to do later. The next muscle is called transversus abdominis. So when something runs transverse, it runs across, like horizontally. This muscle, guys, you cannot see from the outside. It's actually inside, right? We can't see from the outside. So watch this. If I take the chest plate and I turn it around, there's an abdominal muscle. Look how it's running, like a band across the abdomen this way. This muscle is called the transversus abdominis. So on a test, you see this. What am I asking? Transversus abdominis. You can't see it like this. I have it on the table like this with a sticker here. It's the transversus abdominis. As a matter of fact, this muscle does not move the trunk. When you do a sit-up, you're not contracting that muscle. This muscle just tightens the abdomen. It compresses the abdomen like a corset. If you put a corset on and you tighten the strings and it kind of brought you in, like you're sucking it in type of thing, that's what this muscle does. It kind of sucks it in, you know. If you want to write that as an action, I would take that on a practical too. It sucks it in. It just brings it together. Tightens the abdomen. Okay? So one more time. Identify this muscle here. Rectus abdominis. Identify the bands. Tendinous inscriptions. Identify the middle line. Linea alba. Good. Identify the superficial muscle on the right here.
External abdominal oblique.
External abdominal oblique.
Internal
Abdominal oblique. And if we go to the inside, the transversus abdominis. Okay? So I'll let you sit with this for a little while, take some pictures. You got to look at them. You got to touch them. Try to get that connection with them, and you'll have no problem.